Every now and again you just have to stop work and clean up the mess, and in our case there's always a lot of mess to clean up. Now most normal people would be at the beach at this time of the year. We started cleaning the Canadian carriage. It hasn't been done for a year or two, so it was time to give her a birthday. It's also a good time to go over the machine while you're cleaning them and check for any defects. And while we were doing that, we went looking for some spare parts we wanted, and in doing so, we realised that the parts we thought we had weren't that easy to locate. Then we started pulling stuff out of the sheds, and then one thing led to another, which then led to another, and 3 weeks later, we were still cleaning machines and moving parts around. Because our operation has grown over the years and most of our equipment is very old, we've acquired a big heap of spare parts. Now currently we have 3 separate storage sheds for parts, and as you can see here, the spares are stacked up for as far as the eye can see. So we thought we'd make a 4th storage area and move the parts specific to the Canadian, Resaw, Docker and the chipper to a new storage area closer to that part of the production line. And while we were moving those parts, we started cataloguing them so we knew what we had and where it was going to be stored. While moving the parts around, I found this bearing block seen here circled in red. Now this is a spare for the Canadian saw spindle, as seen here circled in blue. Now considering the Canadian was installed in 1965, my grandfather and my dad obviously thought they needed a spare one. In hindsight, the equipment back in the day must have been that good that this original bearing block is still in use today, well over half a century later. Now can you imagine having a fridge last for 50 or 60 years? They just don't make things like they used to. Now that's us moving the stuff into our new storage area, which is now called Workshop 2, as it's going to have a full kit of maintenance type tools, welders and equipment. Now while we were moving, we were able to dump a fair bit of stuff, which worked out good. We picked up those benches, shelves and cupboards at an auction recently, and they've worked out just right to fit out this new area. That shelf unit you see here is a heavy duty one made of grid mesh, so that's going to be ideal for those heavy sprockets, rollers, chains and so on. Plus, we're placing it in a position where we can get a forklift to it so we can load and unload to it easy. That area you're looking at now is our main sawdust conveyor that runs through the entire sawmill. Now to make better use of that space, we've built in shelves under the sawdust conveyor. And in this space, we're going to store a heap of bearings down low and some 3-phase electrical switchgear along the top shelf. And while we were bringing the parts into the new area, we were taking trays and trays of rubbish away to be dumped. That's what the first shed looked like 3 weeks ago, and this is what it looks like now. And most of the good stuff went to Workshop 2, and about 20% of it was deemed unusable and then dumped. We can now badge this shed for our harvester and logging parts. Back in 1985, myself and a good mate of mine, Louis Evans, wrote an equipment maintenance computer program. So what you see here is a couple of pages of the document that we're working through to make sure that every part of every machine in the sawmill is being adequately covered. Now the scribble you see on the docs are the notes that we'll take back to update the program with. For some reason we have more V-belts here than a Repco shop. At first count we have over 300 V-belts of different sizes and makes. Now there are heaps of different types of V-belts, and I reckon we have a few of every one that's ever been made. Now these have been accumulated over the last 60 years. They are all in good serviceable condition as they've been stored in a cool dark room. Now I bought this Gates measurer a few days back, and we're going to go through, measure all the belts, catalogue them and then add them into our database of spares. We researched the different types of belts, we sorted them by type and length, we then applied a unique serial number to each belt. We now should be able to put our hand on the spare required very quickly. We kicked off day 1, and within an hour we blew out a drive belt on head 4 on the moulder. Now lucky we had a spare belt and that we could locate it quickly. As a result, the machine was only down for 20 minutes. That'll do. We spent 3 weeks cleaning up, servicing the equipment and sorting out the spares. We could have easily spent another 3 weeks on it. And as you can see, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes to keep a place like this mobile. We'll start the green mill back up tomorrow and get stuck into it.